Oh, that smells really good.
For more than 20 years, she's made it her mission to lend a hand and feed those in need.
再见哥，再见哥。
Experts say bilingual kids learn faster, so why wait until high school to take a foreign language?
The more languages you can know, the better you can connect with other people, the less foreign things feel.
All right. And first responders flip on the lights to activate their outreach.
So happy and thankful for all the people who are working the front lines.
These stories and more next on CityStream. Hi, I'm Tatevik Aprikyan. Welcome to CityStream from my home studio. We're continuing to practice social distancing by staying home and staying safe. Little by little, the state is easing restrictions on businesses and more people are out and about. But the potential spread of COVID-19 among the region's homeless is still a major concern. For the unsheltered, everyday life is tough, but the coronavirus has made matters a lot worse. Luckily, there are people in our community like Maria Lamarca Anderson out there lending a hand. She's the Director of Communications for the University of Washington, Bothell, and she's been volunteering her time at least 3 times a week, delivering meals to those in need. And she's been doing it for more than 20 years. Enrique Serna tagged along to see how she connects with people.
Right now we're going to go to the Seattle Center because there's a lot of people who spend their days there. I mean, it's really too bad right now. You know, the armory closed. There's really no place for them to go, so they just, you know, their habit is to spend their days at the armory, so now they just spend their days outside the armory. Oh, that smells really good. You know, my car smells really good. Yeah, so Musong, they have been doing this since the very beginning, like the first weekend of the lockdown. They were providing food or meals, full meals, to anyone who needed them. Just right away, they just responded to what was happening.
There's always people who are in need of food.
Would you like some juice?
You know, it's the one thing I can do. I can't make masks, I can't make face shields. There's a huge need. So this is the main place I go, but I've also gone to Capitol Hill. There's a lot of people there on Broadway and Pike. And again, downtown and the Pioneer Square area. I have been delivering for Chicken Soup Brigade, but it used to be Chicken Soup Brigade. It's now Lifelong, I think just Lifelong. It used to be Lifelong AIDS Alliance. 24 years, actually, once a week. That's the longest commitment I've kept.
Would you like a meal? Would you like a meal?
Yes, thank you.
This was a natural extension of that. You know, I was already used to, you know, providing me meals. Here, it's a little different in that it's totally cold calling. You know, you don't know what kind of a reception you're going to get. It's a mixed bag. Most people are, you know, just say yes, I'd love a meal.
Do you want some juice?
No.
No, you're good. Okay.
Yeah, I have a bottle of water.
You got a bottle of water?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You guys be awesome.
You got to stay hydrated.
And then there are people who, you know, they've just maybe had a meal and are good and just say it says to give it to the next person, and you know, that's always startling to me because here's a free meal and they have nothing, but they're willing to say, you know, hey, I've had a sandwich today, give it to someone else who can use it. It is so humbling. It is so humbling.
You gotta have pretty much everything, you know, on the fly. You just don't want to run out because you can't go to no stores and get anything.
Yeah, I have
Everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity, so, you know, do unto others.
You'd like a meal? How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Very much. Thank you for doing all this.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. You hanging?
You're a savior.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but I'm doing what I can.
When the people are just so genuinely grateful for anything,
Where do you spend your night?
teaches me a lesson too, you know, for for the things that I have, and it also makes me want to share even more. You know, I wish I could do more. Right now it's just not possible, but there is so much more need now than during this pandemic than there has been. You know, when I go around, I don't know when I'm going to come back, and so, you know, some people have asked that, and I tell them I can't promise you, but I'll, you know, I give them a day. But I want to always be there for them, you know, while this is happening. And if there are free meals, you know, I don't cook myself, but if there are free meals and there are restaurants that provide them, I'll bring them around. All done. We have a little juice left, but that's about it. So I'd say that's a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hashtag we all do what we can. That's my favorite thing to say.
Maria's story is a great example of what's possible when people step up and help others. You can hear more stories like this one on the podcast Life on the Margins with hosts Enrique Cerna, Marcus Harrison Green, and Ginny Palmer. Just ahead on CityStream, why wait until high school to learn a foreign language? The push to be bilingual, next. Seattle is becoming much more cosmopolitan in its cuisine and conversation. In our world, students thrive if they're fluent in more than one language, and that may explain the popularity of language immersion programs, where 2 languages are used in the classroom to help students become bilingual. That's the sound of a construction site at the Sponge School in Seattle's Beacon Hill neighborhood. For baby builders with hard hats and foam drills, they're laying down the foundation for their future.
I don't think the children even realize that they're learning another language. They're just coming here for a play date that happens to be in Mandarin.
That's Heike Masal, the co-owner of the Sponge School, who knows a thing or two about languages.
I speak German and English fluently, although my children might argue with me being fluent in English. I learned Russian. That was my first foreign language that I learned. And I also studied some French, and I'm trying to pick up some Spanish. And with Mandarin and Japanese, I'm unfortunately failing so far.
It's her love of languages that's the brains behind the Sponge School. With 3 locations in Seattle and the East Side, the center provides classes, private lessons, and also partners with school districts for language immersion programs for bilingual education for infants to elementary students. Baby Sabrina is one of the youngest here. For mom Shannon, this class serves as a way to incorporate her husband's Chinese heritage into Sabrina's life.
Yeah, we wanted to get her started as soon as possible, and so my husband started teaching her at home. I can't teach her, unfortunately, so I was really excited when I found this program where I could go with her and I can learn too, which is nice.
再见哥，再见哥。
Every language class is taught by a native speaker at the Sponge School.
蓝色，蓝色。
This 85-minute Mandarin class for babies is all about building homes and part of 8 units in this year's curriculum.
To teach the language while having fun is most important. We don't do any drills. We don't give any homework. We place only very little emphasis on reading and writing. Our emphasis is on listening, comprehension. We teach them, I have a hammer, or I need a hammer. She needs a hammer, he needs a hammer. There's grammar right there, but it's integrated into the content.
I noticed that she would pick some words that were easier for her to say in Mandarin and Chinese than they were in English, and so for a really long time she'd go walking around and instead of saying thank you, she would just say 谢谢.
好棒，给你。
No, I just think it's so important for more families to do this, I think. And the more languages you can know, the better you can connect with other people, the less foreign things feel.
Juste pour un petit rappel, 10, 20.
About 20 minutes away in Shoreline.
We opened our doors in 2013 with 13 kindergartners.
The North Seattle French School was built on one family's mission to make things feel less foreign.
Being in that environment and having it be totally normal that your mom speaks another language at home, or that your grandmother has an accent, or that you eat certain kinds of food at certain times a year, that was just a great environment to grow up in and just to shape the way that you see the world. And I really wanted my kids to be able to have that.
50, 60.
The North Seattle French School is among many private immersion schools in the greater Seattle area, offering full-time bilingual elementary instruction.
300.
In this case, French is actually a language of instruction. So kids are learning math in French. They're learning science in French. They also might be learning it in English, and certain parts are combined or are co-taught, where both teachers are in the classroom and they're sort of teaching the concepts in parallel.
Oui.
The school has grown to 83 students from preschool to 5th grade.
Ça dit, je pense que ça va, mais si tu ne peux pas.
Teachers here are also all native French speakers. In the hallways, you can often find school director Gilles Flor engaging with his students in French.
We have to bear in mind that, monolingual are not the majority in the world. More than 50% of the world's citizens speak 2 languages.
It makes you really understand that there's more than one way to say something, there's more than one way to express yourself and communicate or approach a problem. And to be able to give that understanding to kids so early really just shapes the way that they then think about how they're going to move in the world and how they're going to contribute to the world.
Contributing to the world by becoming a French teacher at the university level is something Mom Haley Burgess never imagined.
Continued on in French, eventually just finished my PhD last year in French at the University of Washington.
Her passion for learning was passed down. Burgess's son, a preschooler here, is about her age when she started immersion and is loving learning French too.
Moi, je vois les rouges. Tu vois des feuilles rouges.
But fluency isn't Burgess's goal.
A bilingual education, it's not just about the language. Speaking a different language, there's just such an advantage to being able to understand other cultures, and I think in this day and age, it's so important to do whatever we can to help our kids down that path of having compassion and empathy for others.
Donc, après je mets ça.
Constructing life skills that open doors with dialogue.
Est-ce que je vais arrondir jusqu'à 20?
Strengthening foundations for whatever these little learners create in life.
Petite feuille orange.
Language immersion schools have historically been very expensive, but now a lot of these programs here in our community are offering reduced rates and scholarships, and that's helping to open up the world of bilingual education to kids from all economic backgrounds. We'll be right back. Well, this is one of the stories that baffles the brain and melts the heart. 70-year-old Michael Flor spent 62 days battling COVID-19. Among all of the coronavirus patients in the Swedish health system, he was hospitalized the longest. After 4 weeks on a ventilator, his organs were starting to shut down, and his family was preparing for the worst. But Michael would have none of that. Seattle Times videographer Ramon Dampour captured the emotional sight of Michael leaving Swedish hospital in Issaquah after beating the virus.
So every day on rounds, I would say, so I just want you to be really clear. This is like my personal patient, and
don't mess it up. But he's been such a fixture with us, and we've had the luxury of watching him take a lot of baby steps toward this. His circumstance was more complicated because he had so many organ systems that failed. So that's why he was here as long as he was. We're all really attached to him. We're going to miss him. I mean, of course, that's our goal always, right, is to have patients go home to their families.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for everything. My heart belongs to you.
It was emotional for all of us, and it was a great celebration. This whole epidemic is scary. It's changed our entire world, and knowing that we can fight against it and have successes, it's worth celebrating.
Just ahead on CityStream, lights and sirens wake up a Seattle neighborhood, but not for the reasons you're thinking. That story next. COVID-19 has forced us all to look at life very differently, and so much has changed. And if all of the changes seem strange to us, just imagine how kids must feel. Psychologist Dan Mosley with Red Cross Disaster Mental Health says sometimes the best thing a parent can do is show their own vulnerability. He also suggests that we listen and give kids a chance to ask questions.
Your children are going to know. Don't you think more often your children say to each other, "Dad's pretending that he's not scared"? Don't you think that they share that with each other more often than they share, "Boy, Daddy's so tough, nothing ever bothers him"? Don't you think more often they're going to go, "He's scared, he just doesn't want to say it to us"? So, what do? Well, an important piece of family coping now is to actually have some time where you sit down and give everybody a chance to talk about it. Show some vulnerability. That gives children permission to also be vulnerable. That child could ask, "Is that true? Does everyone who gets the virus die?" That gives the parents a chance to acknowledge the child's fears. Again, the parents can also say, "You know, some of the things I hear kind of scare me sometimes too." Boom. What does that do to that child? I'm seeing that child just relax a little bit because the parent has recognized, acknowledged what the child feels, and also has given the child permission to ask that question. All of this doesn't take away from the fact that this is a scary time, anxious time. Can't ignore that. It is. But, you know, there's things that we can do to pay attention to ourselves, for our families, for others. That human connectedness is so powerful. Sometimes that's the best thing we can do now.
Well, we end tonight with a real attention grabber. For police and fire departments, community engagement is vital, but during the pandemic, that personal connection has been lost. So what's the next best thing? Turn on their lights and sirens and visit different neighborhoods, reminding people they're here to serve. Producers Ian DeVere and Randy Yang, take a look.
Who are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for your fireman.
Friday Night Lights is wonderful. It's a great opportunity for the firefighters and police officers to connect with community members.
We're so happy and thankful for all the people who are working in the front lines.
She loved your fire truck. Oh, thank you.
A lot of smiles, a lot of excited kids, a lot of excited adults. Good evening, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I think it's wonderful.
All right.
This is a different way for us to connect since, you know, we had the stay at home and stay healthy order. So we're trying to let the community know that we're still there for them.
Oh, just trying to cheer them on and thank them for all they're doing. First responders are definitely a big part of their community, and we want to make sure we support them.
It's been amazing. It's absolutely incredible how many people come out, they wave, they smile, they show their appreciation. I'm telling you, it's a really wonderful, heartfelt event, and I'm really proud of the city and the people who live here in Seattle. They've been amazing.
That was crazy.
It's good to see community coming together to connect.
Well, that wraps up this week's episode of CityStream from my living room. If you'd like to learn more about the great shows we have on the Seattle channel, just visit seattle.gov and click on Feature Shows. I'm Tatevik Aprikyan. Thank you for watching.